Ok. Ok. On va jouer, donc vous avez vu le titre du jeu juste avant, je vais juste changer. Donc, What Remains of Edith Finch, donc on va tester ça. On va voir comment c'est, comment que c'est. On va voir vite fait comment ça rend et est-ce que c'est vraiment un bon jeu. Parce que c'est un jeu qui m'intéressait depuis un moment que je voulais faire. Voilà. Et on va dire que l'autre point and click que j'ai fait avant, que j'avais dit que je continuerais, en fait, m'a pété les couilles. Parce qu'en fait, je trouve que l'histoire est un peu mal cousue. C'est mon avis. Après, chacun a son propre avis, vous inquiétez pas.
A lot of this isn't going to make sense to you. And I'm sorry about that. I'm just going to start at the beginning, with the house. I lived here until I was 11, but I wasn't allowed inside half the rooms.
Hmm.
Inside the mailbox were bills from 7 years ago, marked urgent, open immediately. I hadn't been back since my brother Lewis's funeral. In her will, my mother left me a key, but didn't tell me what it unlocked. Maybe she thought I'd know, or she thought that the mystery would be enough to bring me back.
J'aime pas, je peux pas
The
courir.
truth is, even after I inherited the house, I never thought I'd come back to it. But now I had questions about my family that only the house knew the answers to.
Merde. On pouvait aller par le haut, par la droite ou par la gauche. Ok.
The woods around the house have always been uncomfortably silent. As if they're about to say something but never do.
Ah, moi je trouve que le coin, c'est à la fibre. Waouh. Bizarre, bizarre.
The house was exactly like I remembered it, the way I'd been dreaming about it.
What?
As a child, the house made me uncomfortable in a way I couldn't put into words. Now, as a 17-year-old, I knew exactly what those words were. I was afraid of the house. Crawling through the doggy door used to be a lot easier when I was 11. The power had been turned off the night we left. For the first time in years, I felt like I was home. But instead of a family, there were just memories of one. Like how after Lewis started working at the cannery, we all got sick of eating salmon. Except our cat, Molly. The table was still a wreck from the night we left. It was like a bomb had gone off, killing everyone but sparing the furniture.
J'aime beaucoup l'esthétique de la maison. Oh, c'est joli ça,
Nothing
j'aime
in the
beaucoup.
house looked abnormal. There was just too much of it, like a smile with too many teeth. Even the fireplace had a story. Edie told me the bricks came from the original house, after it sank. My mom wasn't much of an optimist, but she never stopped believing that my brother Milton was alive. Great-Grandpa Sven built a music box for Barbara, along with the rest of the house. Mom always told me to stay out of the basement, so I wasn't too surprised when the key didn't fit. A lot of things got left behind in the whirlwind of that last night. After Milton disappeared,
C'est pas mal, hein?
Mom sealed up all the bedrooms. Then Edie retaliated and drilled peepholes.
Elle a scellé les portes? Ah oui, carrément, elle a foutu de la colle et tout. Mais pourquoi Ouah, c'est le genre de maison que je trouve trop
Whenever people
incroyable, si
ask
ça
me about
existe
my
en vrai.
family, the first thing they always want to know about is Barbara. Mom must have locked the third floor stairs on the night we left. I spent a lot of time playing in Great Uncle Walter's room. I think my mom sometimes regretted not sealing it up. Lewis told me there were secret passages, but I never believed him. Turns out, my mom was really good at keeping secrets. Now it was time to find out what my mom had been afraid of.
Donc on est sur un jeu narratif hein, qui nous emmène plus ou moins dans la découverte de cette maison un peu
From the
spéciale.
paintings on the wall, it was clear my brother Milton had been here before me. Reading this, maybe it sounds like I had a plan, but I had no idea what was behind that door. Just like I had no idea where all this was gonna lead.
Donc ça c'est la
I grew
chambre
up
de
looking at
Molly.
Molly's room through the peephole. Being inside for the first time, I felt like I'd stepped behind a painting.
Ok, en fait elle avait scellé la chambre.
December 13th, 1947. Dear Diary, I'll be gone soon, but I wanted to tell somebody about what's gonna happen. It started when Mom sent me to bed without dinner. I woke up and I was starving, so I looked around for something to eat. The gerbil food was dry, but I didn't mind it.
Ugh.
I thought about eating Christopher, but I held back.
Ah, c'était pas comme ça avant?
I kept eating and eating.
Oula.
I ate a lot of things that night.
Oula, oula.
Then I heard chirping outside my window. It was a barn swallow going back to her nest. I reached out for her. And suddenly, I was a cat. I tried to be quiet, but the bird was really scared. Mom and Dad didn't even look at me.
J'aime bien.
I jumped and I almost got her. I could tell she was getting really tired. Now I was up in the big tree. I promised Dad I wouldn't climb it anymore. All I cared about was eating that mama bird. I gobbled her up. And suddenly, I was an owl. First, all I heard was the wind. Then I heard little teeth nibbling in the grass. Rabbits.
Ah mais wesh. C'est super dur. C'est trop dur.
I imagined his face looking up and seeing mine through my talons. I swallowed
Alors,
him up.
j'avoue qu'une chouette qui bouffe un lapin, je sais pas si c'est véridique.
Then I flew off to find something bigger. A mama rabbit. She was almost too big to carry. I started choking, but I couldn't stop eating. And suddenly, I was a shark.
What the heck?
I rolled off a cliff and into the ocean. Now, I was hungrier than ever. I wanted fat, juicy seals. I tore off her flipper, and it tasted really good.
Putain, c'est sympa. J'aime bien le concept. Il m'a mis un dodge, ce bâtard.
Grabbed on tight.
Allez,
I was
bombe.
so hungry, I jumped out of the water. When I opened my eyes, everything had changed.
Horrible.
Now I was a monster, and I smelled people everywhere.
Je comprends pas. C'est quoi cette merde?
I was big, and I moved real quiet.
C'est dégueulasse. Bon, mon gros zizi.
I wanted to stop, but also I didn't.
Mange les gens.
After the last passenger, I was still hungry. And across the water, I smelled something new. Something I had to have, so I swam towards it. I slithered onto the sand, and the good smell went into an old pipe.
Ok. Est-ce qu'elle est en train de juste complètement halluciner parce qu'elle a bouffé les trucs qu'il fallait pas manger? Il y a un monde. Ah mais c'est pas là d'où on vient? Oh c'est horrible à contrôler. Voilà. Voilà. Voilà c'est ça, c'est
I
la
got
chambre.
closer and closer. All of my stomach started growling. And suddenly, I was me again. I held my breath for a long time, but I couldn't hear anything. I think it's waiting for me to fall asleep. But it's not going to wait much longer. It needs to feed, and we both know I will be delicious.
What the fuck?
not sure if I believed all of that, but I'm sure Edie would have.
Elle avait 10 ans quand elle est morte? What? Donc Edith, c'est moi Lewis, c'est celui qui a disparu. Et Milton... Attends, c'est trop bizarre. 8 plus 3... Mais attends, mais ils sont tous morts super tôt. Grégory, il a vécu 1 an. Pas possible. Elle avait 10 ans quand elle est morte. What?
Molly's gerbil had a tiny bedroom with its own even tinier gerbil cage. I can't describe it, but I felt like some part of Molly was still here.
Et what I have to do?
This will be obvious later, but my mom never told me any of these stories. Edie would have, but Mom didn't like bringing up the past. Though, when we adopted a stray kitten, she was the one who named it Molly. I spent a lot of time in Great-Grandma Edie's room. Her room was like a museum. For 500 years, the Finches have been famous throughout Norway for their fortune and misfortune. Odin Finch buries the latest victims of the family curse, his wife Ingeborg and their newborn son, Johan. On January 7th, 1937, he set sail with his family and his house, hoping to leave the curse behind. But 40-foot waves off the coast of Washington send the house and Odin to the bottom of the sea.
Lol.
Odin's daughter Edie, with husband Sven and baby Molly, step ashore on their new home, Orcas Island. Odin Finch is the first to be buried in the new family cemetery. His daughter Edie is already dreaming of a new Finch house.
Ok.
Whatever's wrong with this family, it goes back a long ways.
Odin, il avait 57 ans quand il est mort. Il était pas si maudit que ça. Donc c'est le premier à...
Lewis died a week before we left, but Edie had already started to memorialize him. Edie knit me a new pair of gloves every year, just in time to replace the old ones. Edie gave a big interview about a mole man living under the Finch house. My mom was furious. I hadn't thought of myself as Edith Jr. for a long, long time.
Excusez-moi.
One summer, they evacuated the island, but Edie refused to go. For a few weeks, she was a celebrity. When Edie told people Sven was killed by a dragon, she could also have said he was building a dragon-shaped slide that collapsed. She could have, but she didn't.
Excusez-moi.
Even in her 90s, Sometimes Edie seemed a lot younger than my mother.
C'est quoi ça? Ouais, des problèmes de santé quoi. Un truc où ça j'ai de la chance. Premier degré, bon, de la chance, c'est que sur mes deux grands-parents, j'en ai une grand-mère qui est morte super tôt. Et on va dire les autres grands-parents qui me restent sont plutôt en bonne santé pour leur âge. Mais bon, on va dire que j'arrive sur la fin. Globalement, hein, faut se le dire, hein, c'est... Je m'attends pas à... Mais c'est ce qui me fait un peu trister, quoi, parce que... Les dernières années auxquelles je peux en profiter.
There's a secret in this bathroom. It's in the last place you would look. It isn't in the cupboard. It's hidden in this book. Sven gave Sam an old camera he'd refurbished. He never put it down.
Qu'est-ce qu'elle me dit? Donc là j'ai Fort Calvin et Fort Sam.
I knew Grandpa Sam had a twin. And that he never talked about him.
À chaque fois, j'ai l'impression que c'est de pire en pire la tristesse du truc. Ah, en
I
fait,
guess my grandpa didn't like history any more than my mom did.
How I Want to Remember My Brother by Sam Finch. The thing I remember is that when he made up his mind, that was it. My brother said he'd die before he ate another mushroom, and he did. At Barbara's funeral, we swore we'd never be afraid again, and he wasn't. I think Calvin always wanted to fly.
Alors cette balançoire est giga dangereuse. Oh.
But that day, he finally made up his mind to do it.
Oh non.
I told him going around was impossible. Maybe if I hadn't said that.
I'm not gonna tell you again.
Maybe if the wind hadn't picked up. Then maybe he'd still be here. But I doubt it.
Ah, j'aime pas le jeu, il me fait faire un truc
That's what I want to remember about my brother.
Ah, c'est trop bien, l'animation c'est exactement ce que tu subis dans une balançoire. Bon, en vrai, t'auras jamais la vitesse de faire ça, hein. Je vous le dis, j'ai déjà essayé. On a tous essayé, c'est pas possible.
Calvin's story felt strangely familiar. When I was younger, I remember trying to do the exact same thing.
Il est mort à quel âge? 11 ans. Waouh, waouh, waouh.
After the funeral, Edie roped off Calvin's half of the room. Mom said Grandpa Sam enlisted at 18 and never set foot in the room again. The passages were a pretty tight fit. They'd obviously been built for smaller hands and bellies. Edie's father Odin built the original house.
Ok, donc là on a trouvé un passage secret. Il est. On va continuer. J'ai vu un truc bizarre à droite.
Growing up, I always thought of Barbara as a child star.
Ça c'est la chambre de Barbara.
I never thought about how hard it must have been for her afterwards. Of all the stories people wrote about Barbara's death, I'm surprised Edie saved this one.
Old Jack here with another ghastly tale inspired by America's most unfortunate family. I'm calling it The Surprise Ending of Barbara Finch. As a child star, Barbara was famous for her scream. Now at 16, she was all washed up. A has-been. But in a lucky break, she'd been asked to perform her signature scream at a local convention for monster movie fans. It was just the boost her career needed. Unfortunately, her scream hadn't aged well.
Getting better. I think you just need the right motivation.
Her biggest fan and current boyfriend, Rick, was about to demonstrate when...
Now that was a great scream.
It was Barbara's father, Sven. He'd slipped into a table saw and had to be rushed to the emergency room. So Barbara got stuck babysitting her youngest brother, Walter. Her convention comeback was cancelled.
Okay, I'm hearing frustration, but I'm not hearing terror. What if I tried...
A gang of hoodlums in Halloween masks have been terrorizing Orcas Island tonight. Police are urging residents to...
That came from the basement.
You're right! Also, I loved your delivery on that. Why is your basement door locked?
Because my dad likes making puzzles and secret passages. There's a key hidden in the music box. The secret is to keep winding and winding until finally the key pops out.
Thanks, babe. I'll be back in a sec.
20 minutes later, Rick hadn't returned. So Barbara went to look for him, right on cue.
Bizarre.
She reached for the music box. And as she wound the key, she listened for Rick, but the house was silent. She found Rick's crutch and imagined the worst.
The gang's leader is the infamous Hookman killer, Dr. Carl Hamill, who impaled and then ate his family 10 years ago tonight.
Oh, j'aime pas.
The old fridge rattled and grew still.
Oh dear!
Barb, relax. I was just trying to scare you to help you find your scream.
Well, I'm not scared, Rick. I'm furious.
Then act furious. All I'm getting from you now is that you're hurt and confused and
She threw him out, but she kept a little something to remember him by.
Barb, have you seen my other crutch?
And she was still holding it when she fell asleep watching the late picture show. Hours later...
Barbara! Walter, what's going on up there? Ah! Okay, I'm coming up, but if this is a trick, you're dead, Walter.
Coup de balle.
Walter, are you there? Walter had vanished, but his bedside radio was still on.
Orcas Island Police describe the man as 6 feet tall, with a steel hook for a hand. Residents are urged to lock all doors and windows and notify the police of any suspicious activity.
Barbara turned, saw the hook man, and was speechless. He was quite smashing. He couldn't get enough of Barbara.
Okay, Barbara, there's gotta be another way out of here.
That night, she played her part beautifully.
Ok.
Molly's door hadn't been opened in years. The hinges groaned. He wasn't moving, but she sensed the story might not be over yet.
Ok. J'aime beaucoup le concept de revivre une histoire différemment de ce qu'on a déjà revécu.
The hookman had vanished. She listened for his breathing, but all she heard was...
Par contre, on a eu un indice de fou.
At the door, she heard whispering. It was coming from inside the house.
Oh dear.
The monsters had come to surprise her. For Barbara, it was a dream come true.
Ok.
Ah,
Putain, mais elle lui a
what kind
mis...
of monsters they were, and she realized what was about to happen. She was going to be famous. And with her final breath, Barbara Finch gave the performance of her life. I wasn't there myself, but I hear Barbara was magnificent. Poor girl. She had a taste for stardom. But unfortunately, so did her fans. Of course, the police blamed it all on poor Rick, who disappeared the same night. And little Walter? Hiding under his bed the whole time. He took it all pretty hard, but that's another story. As for Barbara, tucked inside the music box was all they ever found of her.
Ouais, c'est glauque de fou. J'ai pas aimé
Edie told
la
me all
fin.
Barbara wanted was to be remembered, as absurd as that comic was. Maybe what Edie saw was a happy ending.
Elle avait 16 ans.
I guess now I know why Mom didn't like me playing with the music box.
Moi, il fait un peu plus nuit. Y'a pas moyen de remettre les plombs? En fait, je sais pas si sur un... En fait, le jeu m'a mis trop mal en mode jeu d'horreur et j'ai un peu peur de ça, en vrai. Un disjoncteur, ça?
Mom said the basement was off limits, unless I wanted another tetanus shot. I saw Edie sneak down to the basement once, carrying packages. I thought maybe she was hiding presents. It turned out she was hiding a lot more than that.
Bon, rien du tout, hein. Je vous le dis, c'est une horreur.
I remember asking Mom once about where Walter had gone. She said after Barbara died, he got as far away as he could.
Je sais pas où je vais.
If
Ah,
there's
c'est
a
un
pattern in all
bunker.
these stories, I think it's that none of us has gotten very far.
Goodbye, everyone. I can't believe I've been down here for 30 years. On that first day, after the shaking started, I didn't think I'd survive a week. But after a few days, I settled into a routine. That's what kept me sane. Having a schedule, living for today. I always expected to be dead tomorrow. But if you wait long enough, you get used to anything.
Oh là là, manger des conserves comme ça, quelle vie de merde.
Even a monster on the other side of a door starts to feel normal. Almost friendly. And then one day, everything just stopped. Whatever that thing was, it was gone. Maybe it got tired of waiting. Or maybe I just got tired of being afraid. It's been a week now, the longest in 30 years. I'm done waiting. I have to leave while I still can. I I know it's out there, somewhere. Whatever killed Barbara and Molly and Calvin. Maybe this is all a mistake. But I need to stop living the same day, even if it kills me. Whatever's out there, I want you to know I'm ready for it. I'm going to appreciate all of it, especially the food. I don't mind if I only have a year left. Or a month. Or a single week. I'd be happy with one new day. I can already imagine the sun on my face.
Bizarre.
Walter died when I was 6. I can't believe my mom never told me he was down here.
Il est quand même vécu vieux, mais... Et encore vieux. Lol. Vieux pour la
I'm
famille,
sure
quoi.
my mom was trying to protect me.
Oh, c'est tellement sad, mais qu'est-ce qu'il faisait à vivre ici?
Maybe she was afraid I'd end up like Walter. But if she never told me about an uncle under the house, I can only imagine what else she was hiding. I don't want to make the same mistakes she made, trying to bury something that's still alive. Now that there's only one of us left, or maybe 2, I thought it was time I heard the stories for myself.
Je pense qu'on va s'arrêter là soon. Je vais regarder un peu combien de temps dure le jeu.
But now I'm worried the stories themselves might be the problem. Maybe we believed so much in a family curse, we made it real.
What?
I don't know if I should even be writing this. Maybe it'd be better if all this just died with me.
Ok. Donc là on en a chopé 3, il manque encore Eddie, Sam. Ah Sam on était avec Alvin, c'est bizarre qu'il l'ait pas chopé après, peut-être que c'est parce qu'il était pas encore mort. Et il manque encore eux. Je vais couper la VOD là, juste avant je voudrais juste regarder. Alors. Combien de temps les gens ils ont joué en moyenne? 3 heures, 2 heures, 3 heures, 2 heures. Ouf. On va s'arrêter là les gens. Je vous fais des gros bisous et à la prochaine pour une autre VOD. Voilà, voilà. Ça sera donc la première VOD de ce jeu. Et on va reprendre juste après.